What do you have to say to the trans students on this campus who feel actively victimized by your presence here?
Life's tough. Get a helmet, man. I'm too pregnant for this.
Candace Owens is one of the most recognizable faces in the fight against woke culture. She is a person who leaves absolutely no room for debate on her stance against the leftist agenda. On countless occasions, Owens has destroyed woke culture on live television.
Isn't it so sad that we have to talk about basic biology, especially when we're dealing with somebody who's a 32-year-old congresswoman? I'm sorry, did I say congresswoman? I meant Congress menstruating person, because apparently we're no longer allowed to say women.
Owens has been explicitly clear on her views against trans women and the trans culture. She thinks the derogatory terms used to describe women by the woke media are a complete disgrace to the basics behind biology. According to Candace, the invention of new terms to describe biological women so as not to offend the woke media is a complete and utter failure in logical reasoning.
Forget the actions women can take. Are women even allowed to exist anymore? This is what her side represents. It is so radical to not even be able to formulate the word woman because you feel too scared, because you need to accommodate all of these various genders, and trans people are also women and this is also women. No.
Owens believes that the fear of offending a certain group of personalities is not a sufficient reason behind the complete abandonment of reality. The amount of backlash should be enough to force any person with common sense to rethink their stance against woke culture. On this very occasion, during this interview, Candace went all out against the woke views of the leftist media.
You know, when she does something like she did today and she says, oh, the patriarchy and patriarchal ideas and all of this stuff that they're saying, and they're reducing us to a uterus, while at the same time not recognizing that she's reducing women to the idea that we're just menstruating persons, which is way worse. I'd rather be a uterus than be referred to as a menstruating person.
Real quick, if you're enjoying this content and want more insights like this, hit subscribe and help us reach these topics to a wider audience. Thank you for the support. Now, let's jump back in. During her interview on the Dr. Phil show, Candace expressed her complete distaste for the diversity, equity, and inclusion movement of the woke media, and how it fosters diversion and unfairness throughout American society.
Policies are harmful also to the people that they purport to help. And we have all of the evidence there to look at. When you artificially place a Black American into a school in which they do not belong based on their knowledge, doesn't mean that they go on to get A's. In fact, there was a Black adjunct professor, you guys have definitely heard of him, Dr. Thomas Sowell, who was teaching at Cornell University, and he found that the majority of the Black American students that were there were on academic probation.
A continuous system that elevates mediocrity and looks down on actual merit will only destroy American society in the long run. This is the view that Candace holds with regard to woke tactics, and it's a view that she had held even when it came to her race. The fact that blacks are being favored as minorities by the so-called leftist movement hasn't stopped Candace from calling out the act as another flawed approach to racial imbalance by the woke media.
They were failing on academic probation. These policies have never helped Black Americans. It's just basically policies that are put in place to make people feel good, right? I feel like I'm doing something when in fact I'm actually creating harm.
According to Owens, these inclusion tactics, based on a need to satisfy emotional definitions of morality, are nothing but a way of using minorities to achieve systematic goals of the woke media. Whether or not there is any backlash for her comments, Owens isn't going to back out of her stance against these views.
But you're told that as soon as you get this degree, everything's going to be great. And that's not always true, especially if you're a major in gender studies. Let me tell you, and I am sorry, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand if you're majoring in gender studies, because I do have nothing nice to say about that. Not gonna call you out, but give me a second. So brave. Guys, it's fine. Guys.
Owens doesn't miss any opportunity to crack down on the woke movement, particularly on the issue of trans culture. In this encounter, she ensured she riled up a bunch of woke students who apparently were students in gender studies, a major that had served no real purpose in the academic system of the West, except to propagate woke ideologies across campuses in the West.
Guys, do you want to ask a question? Do you want to come down and ask a question or just shout? Okay, this is just a show.
On several occasions, Owens has been spotted going head-on against woke-minded personalities, and it has always ended with a total verbal beatdown from Owens to any woke liberal.
And actually, who was it that said, I think it was Ronald Reagan, everybody who argues for abortion has already been born, right? Which the many examples, and this is what is so problematic about the argument of people that are pro-choice, is that it ignores all of the people that grew up in broken homes and made something of themselves, people who were adopted, people that grew up in group homes, what they were able to contribute to society. It basically says the argument that unless your life is rosy, unless you have a rosy start, then you don't have a right to life.
Owens has completely been clear on her stand against abortion. According to her quote from Ronald Reagan, "Everyone who argues for abortion has already been born." Her stance against abortion has made her a direct target of the woke culture, which is a stronghold of left-wing politics that preaches inclusion and equity only for those born into woke ideologies. Apparently, all those still in the fetus can only exist based on the choice of others.
And for people to not even have the opportunity to try because somebody has sentenced them to death and said your life is not worth living because you don't have a father that loves you or a mother that wants you, it deeply saddens me. It's so backwards. It is so antithetical to everything that we believe as conservatives. If you meet a conservative that says, well, I'm a little flimsy on the life stuff, they don't know what it means to be.
It takes an awful amount of guts to stand up against the woke leftist media and speak against the culture. Despite the calls for censorship and cancellation, Candace has made it extremely clear that there is no backing down on her views against woke culture, as she is completely determined to stick to her opinions, regardless of the backlash.
The thing that's funny about Megan Fox is that she notoriously went on a rampage against her ex-husband, Brian Austin Green, because he published a photo of him with his kid. They're about to go to like a soccer game, and she's like, no photos of our children on the internet, like she's a good parent. Oh, okay, but you're gonna be on the internet as the mother of this child talking about drinking the blood of your 20 years younger boyfriend, however much younger he is. Like, this is disgusting. It's satanic, it's demonic, but it's just like the stupidity behind like, I'm protecting my kids because I'm gonna be the person that's a knucklehead.
Owens' stance against the ritualistic nature of Hollywood is very clear. Candace views the agenda being pushed by Hollywood as extremely harmful and damaging to society, and the fact that several celebrities are pushing for this stuff is just extremely sad and disgraceful.
Hollywood views themselves as gods. This is why the Bible speaks against idolatry. You really realize it now when you see how perverse and how backwards. Yeah, it's Babylon. And just hear her making it sound like it's cool, sitting there. I mean, she's a mom of what, 3 children? She's got her boobs out. This is a ha 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 ha. And no, like it's just it sounds bad. It's just like a couple of drops, but not him. He'll take the whole glass shard and do this and try to drip it into my mouth.
Candace dislikes the way Hollywood and the woke media promote certain ideals and symbols. So she's on a mission to challenge and break down these woke beliefs that the left is spreading throughout society. She sees how these extreme ideas hurt people and negatively affect minds across all levels of society.
Tremendous time to be alive as a Black American. We've been existing under this facade, these lies the Democrats have orchestrated because they consider us a low information voter market, and they think we're not going to research the stats and we'll never find out.
Candace Owens has always remained a dedicated supporter of Donald Trump. Despite the backlash from those who believe Black voters should pander to leftist ideologies, Candace has proven that, in actual reality, the Black community hasn't been treated any better by the Democrats and actually enjoyed better living standards under the Trump administration.
Well, listen, that's because Chicago is run by Democrats, and they never want to hold up a mirror to what they're doing, so that's why we never heard those names. 4,000, that's exactly right. That's the exact same number, about the same number of Americans that were slaughtered in the Iraq War, right? It's a war zone, and Trump offered to send the National Guard, and the Democrats majorly opposed him. So what it comes down to is Trump is trying to be effective there, and we're seeing that we have so many great results in Black America.
Candace claims that progress has nothing to do with skin tones, but everything to do with numbers. And in her opinion, the numbers favor Donald Trump's government and not the Democrats. Candace has come under a lot of fire for her views, but the iconic public figure has refused to cower under pressure from Democrats and adherents of the woke media.
you know that white supremacy and white nationalism is ranks nowhere near the top of the issues that are facing Black America. And the reason that you are bringing them up in this room is because it is attempt to make the election all about race, as the Democrats
Not in
do.
my case, Ms.
Please don't
Owens.
cut
I'm
me
sorry.
off.
Please do not characterize my motive.
Mr. Chairman, it's my time.
Yeah,
it's my time.
You've got your time, Mr. Meadows. I'll give you 3 more seconds.
During this final interview, Candace goes all out on the woke panel, who ganged up to get her corner into admitting to making light of white supremacy. Candace made sure she completely and utterly demolished the woke leftists who are notorious for making elections all about race, with complete disregard for the actual problems affecting the Black community and other minorities in the United States.
And you knew exactly what I meant when I said hilarious, and you just tried to do live what the media does all the time to Republicans, to our president, and to conservatives, which you tried to manipulate what I said to fit your narrative, okay? I was not referring to the subject matter that is hilarious. I said it's hilarious that we are sitting in this room today, and I've got 2 doctors and a missus, and nobody can give us real numbers that we can respond to so we can assess how big of a threat this is, because you know that it is not as big of a threat as you are trying to make it out to be, so that you can manipulate. And the audacity of you to bring up the Christchurch shooting manifesto and make it seem as if I laughed at people that were slaughtered by a homicidal maniac is, in my opinion, absolutely despicable.
During this encounter, she made it clear exactly how the woke left uses the media as a tool to propagate lies and misinformation in an attempt to change narratives and spread lies and misinformation, trying to shift narratives and promote ideas that align with their beliefs, which are often harmful and damaging. Do you believe it's time to face tough conversations head-on, or keep silencing opposing views? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Your support helps bring more bold discussions straight to your feed.